This is an urgent transmission from the Atmospheric Stability Monitoring Commission. If you are receiving this signal, your region has been classified as temporally unstable. What we are about to describe is not a forecast. It is not a prediction. It is an ongoing crisis that began 96 hours ago and shows no signs of resolution. The sky is no longer operating on a 24-hour cycle. The seasons are no longer annual. Time itself, as measured by the atmosphere, has fractured, and every 60 minutes, reality resets. At 11:47 p.m. on November 11th, meteorological stations across the northern hemisphere detected an anomaly in solar radiation patterns. The data suggested that sunrise was occurring simultaneously with sunset. Instruments were recalibrated. The readings persisted. By midnight, the first visual confirmation came from Nome, Alaska. Residents reported that the sun had set at 9:32 p.m. as scheduled, but at 11:58 p.m., it rose again. Not gradually, instantly. One moment, darkness, the next, full daylight. And it wasn't November daylight, it was summer. The temperature climbed from 12 degrees Fahrenheit to 68 degrees in under 3 minutes. Snow began melting, birds started singing, trees that had been bare for weeks suddenly had leaves, and then, exactly 1 hour later, it changed again. At 12:58 a.m., witnesses described the sky flickering like a light bulb losing power. The summer sun dimmed, turned orange, then red. Within seconds, it was autumn. The temperature dropped to 45 degrees. Leaves that had just appeared on the trees turned brown and fell, all of them simultaneously, covering the ground in a carpet of decay that hadn't existed 5 minutes prior. The sun moved across the sky and fast forward, completing a full arc in under 20 minutes before setting again. And then it was winter. Snow that had just melted reappeared, not as fresh powder, but as packed ice, as if it had been there for weeks. The cycle had begun. By 3 a.m. on November 12th, the phenomenon had spread to 14 time zones. Every 60 minutes, the sky resets, the season changes, and with it, everything that depends on seasonal patterns shifts as well. Plants, animals, weather systems, the fundamental relationship between Earth and Sun has been severed. We are no longer experiencing time, we are experiencing fragments of time, shuffled and repeated without order or reason. If you are in an affected area, what follows are survival guidelines compiled from emergency response teams and first-hand accounts. These protocols are experimental. They are based on 4 days of observation. They may not be sufficient, but they are all we have. First, do not trust your circadian rhythm. Your body's internal clock is calibrated to a 24-hour cycle with gradual seasonal transitions. That system no longer matches external reality. People in affected zones are experiencing severe disorientation, sleep deprivation, temporal confusion. A woman in Vermont went to bed during winter at 2 a.m. She woke up 2 hours later to summer sunlight pouring through her window. Her body believed she'd slept for 8 hours. Her clock said otherwise. She couldn't reconcile the two. By that evening, she was found wandering her neighborhood, asking strangers what day it was, what year it was, whether she was dreaming. She was admitted to psychiatric care. She is one of hundreds experiencing similar breaks from reality. Do not rely on natural cues for sleep, for meals, for daily routines. Use artificial timekeeping. Set alarms. Maintain a strict schedule, independent of what the sky is doing. Your mind will attempt to synchronize with the changing seasons. Do not let it. That way leads to fracture. Second, the transitions are violent. When the sky resets, it does not fade gently from one season to the next. It snaps, and everything caught in that transition experiences trauma. On the morning of November 13th, a farmer in North Dakota was tending to his cattle during a spring cycle. The pasture was green, the air was mild. At 10:59 a.m., he was feeding the herd. At 10:59 a.m., the sky flickered. By 11 a.m., it was winter. The temperature plummeted to -15 degrees Fahrenheit in seconds. The grass froze solid, the water troughs turned to ice, and 23 cattle died instantly from thermal shock. Their bodies couldn't adapt that quickly. Neither could his. He suffered severe frostbite on his hands and face, despite being outdoors for less than 90 seconds after the transition. Rescue teams found him hypothermic, confused, still trying to move frozen cattle that had been alive 2 minutes prior. When you feel a transition beginning, get indoors immediately. The sky will give you a warning, a flicker, a dimming, a sense of pressure in the air, like the moment before a thunderstorm. You will have approximately 30 seconds. Use them. Get inside. Seal doors and windows. The temperature differential can be lethal. Third, the seasons are not appearing in order. This is not a simple acceleration of the yearly cycle. It is random, chaotic. You might experience winter, then summer, then autumn, then spring, then winter again. There is no pattern. Predictive models have failed. Meteorologists have attempted to map the sequence. There is none. Some regions have experienced the same season 3 times consecutively. Others have cycled through all 4 seasons in 6 hours. The only constant is the 60-minute interval. Every hour, the sky resets. What it resets to is unknown until it happens. This randomness is psychologically destabilizing. Human beings rely on predictability. We plan our lives around seasonal patterns, agriculture, migration, holidays. All of that structure has collapsed. A school in Minnesota attempted to maintain normal operations on November 14th. Students arrived during autumn. By second period, it was spring. By lunch, it was winter. Children were trapped in a building that couldn't regulate temperature fast enough to match the external shifts. Some classrooms were sweltering, while others froze. Pipes burst, heating systems overloaded. The school was evacuated, but 3 students suffered heat stroke and 2 experienced hypothermia. The building is now condemned. Classes have been suspended indefinitely. Do not attempt to maintain normalcy. Do not send your children to school. Do not go to work unless absolutely critical. The infrastructure was not designed for this. Buildings cannot adapt. Systems will fail. Fourth, and this is where observations become difficult to verify. The seasons are not just meteorological. They are wrong in ways that go beyond temperature and daylight. During winter cycles, people report seeing things that should not exist. On the night of November 14th, a man in Ontario was sheltering in his home during a winter phase. He looked out his window and saw snow falling, but the snow was falling in spirals, geometric patterns, each flake following the exact same curved trajectory, creating helixes of white against the dark sky. He filmed it. The footage has been classified, but analysts describe it as mathematically impossible. Snowflakes do not behave that way. They cannot. The physics don't allow for synchronized falling patterns across millions of individual particles, and yet they did. During summer cycles, the sun is too bright, brighter than any summer sun should be. People are experiencing sunburns within 5 minutes of exposure, retinal damage from glancing at the sky. UV radiation levels are spiking during summer phases to intensities normally only seen at high altitudes or near the equator. A family in Michigan went outside during a summer cycle on November 15th. They were outdoors for 7 minutes. All 4 members suffered second-degree burns on exposed skin. Their daughter, age 6, has permanent vision damage. The sun is not the sun we know. It is something else wearing the sun's appearance. Spring cycles bring growth, but the growth is wrong. Plants are not blooming, they are erupting. A suburban neighborhood in Wisconsin experienced a spring phase on November 16th. Grass that was dormant for weeks suddenly grew 3 feet in the span of 40 minutes, not gradually, in surges. Residents describe hearing cracking sounds as roots broke through concrete, vines growing so fast you could watch them move. One homeowner tried to mow his lawn during the phase. The grass grew back faster than he could cut it. By the time the cycle shifted to autumn 20 minutes later, his yard looked like a jungle. And when autumn hit, all of that growth died simultaneously. The smell of decay was overwhelming.
The biomass rotting in his yard generated enough heat to melt the snow that appeared during the next winter cycle. The seasons are not natural, they are imitations, and something about the imitation is deeply wrong. Fifth, and this is where observations become difficult to verify, animals are not adapting, they are breaking.
Species that rely on seasonal cues for migration, hibernation, and reproduction are experiencing catastrophic confusion. On November 13th, a flock of 200 geese in Pennsylvania began their southern migration during an autumn cycle. 15 minutes later, the sky shifted to spring. The geese reversed course. Then winter hit. They attempted to fly south again. Then summer. They stopped mid-flight, circling in confusion. By the fourth cycle, they began falling from the sky, exhausted, disoriented, unable to process conflicting instincts firing simultaneously. Wildlife officials collected 89 dead geese from a single field. Cause of death: neural overload. Their brains couldn't reconcile the contradictory environmental signals. Theirs that entered hibernation are waking up during spring phases, leaving their dens, then being caught in winter phases hours later without shelter. Insects are hatching during summer cycles, then freezing during the next winter shift. Entire ecosystems are collapsing in real time. Food chains are breaking. Predators cannot find prey because prey species are dying or behaving erratically. A wolf pack in Montana was observed during a winter cycle attempting to hunt deer. The deer were not running. They were standing still, heads tilted upward, staring at the sky. When the wolves approached, the deer did not react. They allowed themselves to be killed without resistance, as if they had given up, as if they understood that survival was no longer possible. If you see animals behaving strangely, do not approach them. They are not themselves. They are operating on instincts that no longer match reality. They are dangerous in their confusion. Now, we must address the human cost. 4 days into this crisis, we are seeing psychological collapse on a mass scale. The human mind is not equipped to handle seasonal shifts every 60 minutes. Our sense of time, of continuity, of selfhood relies on stable external reference points. When those points become unstable, identity fractures. There have been 347 documented cases of what clinicians are calling temporal dissociation syndrome. Patients report feeling like they are living multiple timelines simultaneously. A man in New York believes he has lived through 15 years in the past 4 days because he has experienced so many seasonal cycles. He cannot reconcile his memories of multiple winters, springs, summers, and autumns with the knowledge that only 96 hours have passed. He insists that time is moving normally and everyone else is lying to him. He has become violent when presented with evidence to the contrary. He is currently sedated and under observation. A woman in Illinois stopped speaking on November 15th. She sits by her window, watching the seasons change. Every time the sky resets, she flinches, but she does not look away. When family members try to move her, she resists. She has not eaten, she has not slept. She is watching, waiting. When asked what she is waiting for, she wrote on a notepad, for it to stop looping, for the real sky to come back. She believes the current sky is false, a recording, and she is waiting for someone to press stop. Children are especially vulnerable. Their concept of time is still developing. They do not understand why summer keeps coming back, why winter won't end. A kindergarten teacher in Ohio reported that her students have stopped using past and future tense. They only speak in present tense now. It is winter, it is summer, it is night, it is day. They have lost the linguistic structure for causality, for before and after. They exist only in the now, because the now is all that remains stable. If you have children, maintain verbal anchors. Remind them of yesterday. Tell them about tomorrow. Even if the sky makes time meaningless, language can preserve continuity. Talk about the past. Make plans for the future.
even false plans, even plans that may never happen. The act of planning creates mental structure. Without it, the mind collapses into eternal present, and in eternal present, there is no hope, because hope requires future. Sixth, there are reports of duplicates. This is the observation that authorities are most reluctant to confirm, but we are including it here because witness testimony is consistent across multiple regions. During transition periods, in the 30 seconds when the sky flickers between seasons, some people report seeing themselves, not reflections, not shadows, duplicates, solid physical copies occupying the same space. On the evening of November 15th, a couple in Maine experienced a transition as the sky flickered from autumn to winter. As the husband looked across the table, he saw his wife sitting in her chair, but he also saw her standing behind herself. Same clothing, same posture, but slightly off. The standing version was looking at the sitting one, observing. He shouted. His wife turned around. There was nothing there, but he insists he saw it. And when they reviewed their home security footage, there are 2 frames, just 2, where a second figure appears in the kitchen, translucent, overlapping with his wife's position. Then the transition completes, and she is alone again. The theory, unconfirmed and highly speculative, is that when the sky resets, it is not just changing seasons, it is changing states, realities. And in the moment of transition, those states overlap. We see echoes of ourselves from other iterations, other loops. If this is true, then we are not experiencing one timeline. We are experiencing many timelines collapsing into the same space, cycling through different versions of reality every 60 minutes. But this raises a question no one wants to answer. If there are multiple versions of reality, and we are seeing ourselves from other versions, then where are the versions of us that we don't see? Are there timelines where the sky never started changing? Are there timelines where it changed differently? And are the versions of us in those timelines aware of us the same way we are becoming aware of them? Do not look for your duplicate. If you see yourself during a transition, close your eyes, turn away. Do not make contact. We do not know what happens if 2 versions interact. There have been 3 attempts at scientific intervention. All have failed in ways that suggest this phenomenon is beyond our capacity to control. On November 14th, a team of atmospheric scientists deployed weather balloons equipped with instruments designed to measure radiation, pressure, and electromagnetic fields during a transition. All 12 balloons were launched simultaneously at different altitudes. At 2:59 p.m., 1 minute before the scheduled transition, all balloons transmitted normal data. At 3 p.m., the transition occurred. Every balloon vanished. Not destroyed, vanished. Their signals ceased. Radar lost tracking. They simply stopped existing. 3 hours later, 1 balloon was found, on the ground, 200 miles away. Its instruments were melted. The data log showed it had recorded temperatures exceeding 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. For context, the surface of the sun is about 10,000 degrees. Whatever this balloon passed through during the transition was half as hot as a star. The other 11 balloons have not been recovered. On November 15th, NASA redirected a satellite to photograph the affected regions during multiple transitions. The satellite's camera captured 47 consecutive seasonal shifts over an 8-hour period. The images show something impossible. During transitions, there is a gap, a void. For approximately 0.3 seconds, the sky is not sky. It is black, completely black, as if the atmosphere has been removed and replaced with vacuum. And in that blackness, there are shapes, structures, geometric forms that do not correspond to any known natural or artificial objects. Analysts describe them as looking almost biological, like the interior of something vast, like we are seeing inside something that uses the sky as a surface. The images have been classified at the highest level. Public release is not authorized, but personnel who viewed them report nightmares. dreams of being inside something that breathes, something that looks through the sky into our world every time it resets. The third intervention was attempted on November 16th. A proposal was made to detonate an electromagnetic pulse device in the upper atmosphere during a transition, hoping to disrupt whatever mechanism is causing the resets. The proposal was approved, the device was prepared, but at 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes before the scheduled detonation, every digital clock in the affected zone stopped. Not powered down, stopped. Frozen at 11:58 p.m. For 1 hour, time did not advance. Clocks remained at 11:58. The sun did not move. The season did not change. And in that frozen hour, people reported hearing something. A voice, not in the air, in their heads. A voice that spoke in a language no one recognized, but everyone understood. It said one thing: do not interfere. At exactly 12:58 p.m., the clocks resumed. The mist transition occurred immediately, and the EMP device was found offline, disarmed. No one had touched it. It simply stopped functioning. The mission was canceled. There will be no further intervention attempts. As of November 18th, the phenomenon covers 31% of the Earth's surface and continues to expand at an accelerating rate. Projections indicate global coverage within 14 days. When that happens, every location on Earth will experience seasonal resets every 60 minutes. There will be no safe zones, no regions operating under normal time. The entire planet will be synchronized to this new rhythm. Governments are preparing contingency protocols. Deep underground facilities are being stocked. Populations are being prioritized for shelter based on genetic diversity and skill sets. These decisions are being made without public input because there is no time for public input. We are moving into a scenario where surface life may not be sustainable, where the only option is to retreat below ground in wait. Wait for what, we cannot say. Wait for the sky to fix itself. Wait for the phenomenon to end. Wait to understand what we are dealing with. But some scientists believe waiting is not a solution. They believe the resets will continue indefinitely, that this is the new permanent state of reality, that we must adapt or go extinct. And adaptation in this context means abandoning everything we understand about time, about seasons, about the relationship between Earth and Sun. It means rebuilding human civilization around the assumption that stability is gone forever. If you are listening to this broadcast, here is what you need to do. Secure shelter that can withstand rapid temperature changes, insulated structures with independent heating and cooling, stock supplies for long-term isolation, food, water, medical resources, enough to survive without external support for at least 90 days. Maintain communication with others. The psychological isolation of this phenomenon is as dangerous as the physical effects. Form networks, check on neighbors, establish protocols for wellness checks. People are vanishing, not just physically, but mentally, slipping into catatonia, giving up. Community is the only defense against that collapse. Document everything. Write down what you experience, when transitions occur, what you see, what you feel. This data may be critical for future understanding, but more importantly, documentation creates continuity. It proves to yourself that time is passing, that you are not stuck in a loop, that forward motion, however chaotic, is still possible. And finally, do not look for patterns. Do not try to predict the next season. Do not attempt to find meaning in the sequence. The human brain will create patterns even when none exist. It will convince you that you understand the rhythm, that you can anticipate the changes. You cannot. The moment you believe you have found the pattern is the moment you will be proven wrong.
and that wrongness will break you. Accept the chaos, adapt to it, survive it. This is the Atmospheric Stability Monitoring Commission, broadcast code ASMC 9163. The sky is no longer reliable. The seasons are no longer predictable. Time, as we have understood it for the entirety of human existence, has been severed. Every 60 minutes, reality resets, and we do not know why. We do not know how to stop it. We do not know what entity or force is causing it. All we know is that the sky keeps changing, and every hour we lose a little more of what made us human. Stay indoors during transitions. Do not trust the sun. Do not trust the seasons. Do not look for yourself in the flickering moments between resets. Maintain your routines. Maintain your sanity. Maintain hope, even if hope seems irrational. We will continue broadcasting as long as transmission equipment remains functional. Updates will be provided as information becomes available. But understand that information is fragmentary, incomplete. We are navigating darkness. We are guessing, and our guesses may be wrong. The sky keeps changing. The clock keeps ticking. And somewhere above us, something is watching, waiting, resetting reality every 60 minutes like a cosmic experiment, like a test, and we do not know if we are passing or failing. This message will repeat: stay safe, stay grounded, stay sane. And whatever you do, do not look up during a transition.